Hi, this is the Claro Admin UI meeting for July 8th, 2020. And we probably have a bunch of people, so we probably have a whole lot to talk about.
So I have one issue, which, well, actually I have two issues that I would like to talk about. So I have the first issue that I would like to talk about is the limit width of form elements. And the second issue that I would like to talk about is the implement bulk operation designs. Anyone else have any issues that you want to talk about?
Probably planning the sprints for next week. Or at least plan the hours that will be around if we have to submit something.
Yeah, that's that would be nice.
Sounds good. Any other topics?
Not for me. Maybe we can start with the sprints, because I have to leave a little bit earlier today. So to be sure that we're done with that at the time that I have to leave, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure. Sounds good.
Okay, so I think it's the schedule is aimed for America's time zone, right? So it should be for our European afternoon, probably. Not sure if anybody knows what the schedule for the global DrupalCon global.
Yeah, so I think contribution can really happen anytime depending on when people are available. So that's part of the reason that the contribution works in a way that it's a separate site and the groups would promote their events, is to allow for contribution to happen anytime that people would want to contribute or would be available to onboard other people to contribute or stuff like that. And the reason it's designed to have these events in the contribution groups is so if there's an event like it's like a group review of Claro for whatever accessibility issues, or I don't know, whatever you want to do a group review of, or an introduction event or something, you can submit those. And also you can submit like, we will co-work on X at this time, or some of the leads will be available at this time, or that kind of stuff. And that helps direct contributors so that they don't arrive at like an empty hall and nobody's there when they think they will be there, but they arrive at a time when the groups explicitly announce that they will be around. So the expectation of the group leads and the contributors will be synced. That's the idea. But it's really up to the group when they want to have any kind of contribution, really. It's not necessarily tied to the US DrupalCon Global Times.
Okay, so basically what we should do is create this group in the country on the Get Open Social.
Yep.
And then add whoever is going to be the lead or something like that. And then define the schedule, I guess.
Yeah. Find sometimes when you plan to be around or available or have special dedicated events or whatever. Depends on what the team wants to do. There's no mandate to do anything in particular. But
Okay.
this is basically so that when you are sleeping, then people will not expect you to be on the channel, and that when they come to the channel, they come because you said that there's gonna be people there working on stuff. That's the idea.
Okay.
It's global, and we don't know when people are available. Some people don't want to sleep that much. Some people want to work at different time zones. Some people want to strictly stay on their time zone. Everybody's freedom is whatever they want to do here, and this is just to level expectations here.
Okay, so members per se, it's the leading team or whoever wants to be in there. On the tab of, for example, the Drupal 9 contributed project, there's a members tab. It means that each of these person is like kind of leading that.
No, anybody could sign up to be a member, so they would get like email notifications about the events, or I don't know exactly what they are getting, but this is
Okay.
basically the sign up of intent for contribution if you become a member. But the leads
Okay.
of the group would be the leads of the topic. That's the idea.
Okay, so probably just setting that up as a first step is enough. And then is anybody here on the call that actually wants to mentor on the sprint or to do something apart from working? Okay,
I think we should. I'm happy to do like some kind of mentoring. Like maybe we can set like we can create event for that where we focus on helping people or helping them set up or something like that. But yeah, so maybe the first step is just creating the group and then figuring out what are the specific events we want to have there.
Okay. Probably one could be at the same time. No, which are the days actually? So it's Wednesday and Thursday?
It's Tuesday to Friday, and the dedicated contribution day is Friday, but the contribution could be any day.
Okay.
The official DrupalCon is from Tuesday to Friday. The Dries note is on Tuesday.
I see.
So there's already one event. Oh.
Go ahead.
So there's one event related to Claro scheduled in the accessibility group.
Yep.
I just sent a link for that in the chat so that if anyone is interested, I'm at least planning to be there, and anyone else feel free to join us too.
One obvious scheduled item could be just to move this meeting as an event there.
Yeah.
And have this as maybe an introduction or an office hours for people who don't know yet. So that this could be a moment for people to orient themselves on what's happening.
Yep.
In general.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. Yeah, I think I can make it too, and I have my session on Wednesday, so, but it's I think it's after this one, so I should be able to make it.
Not nervous before.
So I can try to create the group, and I will send a link to the Slack channel once I've done that.
I was trying to do that, but yeah, that's perfect if you do it.
Oh, feel free to do it if you want to do it.
Okay. I will do that while we have the meeting and send you the link later. And apart from that, about this same event, moving it to there, and the one on the accessibility, I think I could do another one maybe, but I can't commit to be in a lot of events this week. So probably a design review one will be a good one.
Yeah, that sounds like a good one.
Yeah, apart from that, let's see. We can just discuss it later on. We can have a new one on Tuesday or Wednesday to have like an intro for anybody that wants to start or kick off or something like that. And I will try also to put the links for the design for Drupal for the videos, the intro videos in there, so people can at least have a little bit of background to that, like especially the one that you recorded also, Lauri, that might be really useful. We'll put that on the group.
Okay.
Yeah, I will send you a link in a few minutes.
Sounds good. Should we move on to the next topic?
Yep.
So, should we talk about the max width of the form elements next? I think
Okay.
we've talked about this a few times.
No.
Okay, so I'm sharing my screen. So I guess the kind of remaining concern is about kind of this type of view. Like this is how it looks right now with the patch on if you use like a very wide screen. So there's like a two separate columns that are in like one is on the left side and one is on the right side. And then there's this empty space in between. So I talked about this in the UX call yesterday, and Benji gave feedback that I think that he doesn't think that this would be necessarily a UX problem, but he did think that maybe we could make this visually more appealing. And so I guess the proposed approaches we have is one, we could make the form centered and keep the right column on the right side. We could either decide to keep the header on the left side, or we could align it with this one, depending on how we want to implement this. And another idea that I think maybe Ben had yesterday was that we would move the right column to the left so that the empty space would be on the right side of the page. I'm wondering if you have any thoughts on this.
Yeah, and we've already had this discussion, I think.
Yeah, I think we've made some changes to the way the forms, like what elements have the max weight and so on, but I think we just come back to this problem every time after every circle that we make. And now we are in a state where this happens again.
Yeah, but so I'm going back to the same thing, that to make a decision with that, I mean, I don't think it should be fixed in this issue. I don't think we should decide if we align the things in the middle or on the left in this issue. I think it's more a layout issue, deciding that.
So do we need a new issue for that then? Because I don't think we have that yet.
Yeah, I think it's another discussion. I mean,
so basically,
yeah, go ahead, sorry.
So what I remember we decided, or at least my impression was that we would try to take a step here that we don't see as a regression from the current state. But I do still feel like that if we go with this, it's not quite this bad with the current patch, but it's still kind of, I would say it's maybe this switch. So it's kind of, you get the idea. I feel like it's a regression from the current state in, at least from visual point of view, maybe not in usability point of view. So I'm wondering, like, are we okay that we make this type of regression? And I personally, I think this is a pretty big regression.
I don't know. I mean, it just, I don't feel comfortable deciding if it should be centered or the right sidebar should be left aligned or something like that, without actually doing design tests and taking a good look to that. I mean, I don't think it's a good movement to just align everything in the middle like a solution. I'm seeing other problems right now in this screen. For example, I still see the text area, for example, too narrow. So there's different things here that should be fixed. And
so the text area is more in the width of this. This is an old screenshot, so that has been fixed already.
Okay.
It's just that it doesn't fix this problem if you make this like wider.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, like you still have the same problem.
I mean, if those are two different things, so here's the thing. This is a beta. We're on the beta state, and I think until we get the stable one, there's going to be some things that are going to look okay. And basically this one, I think setting the max width for the form elements, which means each component, independently of how it is placed on the whole. So I think those are different discussions. The form width or the form element width and how it is placed. Obviously, we can kind of do something in the middle and put it in center aligned, but it is not a solution. And my concern is that it just stays in there center aligned and never more. Nobody else comes back later and says, no, let's just move it. I mean, I don't like how it looks like this centered, and I would like to do some tests, but that will block this issue forever and ever and ever, because if I start testing how things are aligned, I will check all the layout and it quickly escalates.
There's another issue with the node form that extends beyond aesthetics as well, which may not necessarily be in the scope of this issue, but has certainly been brought to our attention because of it. The amount of additional, so for mouse users, especially people with repetitive stress injuries and that sort of thing, there's a lot of unnecessary additional use required to travel that gap, and that so that should be addressed. I suspect it's also difficult to follow focus from when it goes from one column to the next because of the distance. So I consider both of those accessibility problems. So I'd vote for addressing this in some issue and making it a priority, something that places these closer together for the sake of motor function limitations and the ability to follow focus. And I would lean towards moving everything to the left, so then everything was close to the tabs, but that discussion can take place in whatever issue we address it in.
Is this white gap now the result of the limitation? Is the white gap now a result of the patch, the proposed patch? Okay. Right, because this is what it is.
There is still the issue. The buttons would still be really far from the meta and that kind of thing. It would,
yeah. So maybe if I don't know. So going back to what you were saying, Laurie. So yes, this is introducing something that looks bad. So maybe it shouldn't just go in like that. But maybe, especially based on what Ben just said, maybe it should be not, I don't know, everything aligned in the middle and closed, and also the title.
In a sense, the gap is not larger. It just got more obvious.
Yes,
exactly.
That's exactly right. Yes.
But there's some strange aspects to it, like for example, that the right side can be wider for the most part than the left column.
Yes,
this
that's
is now wider than this one. So that's really strange that the meta column is wider than the main column.
But that's because we are used to have it narrower. I don't see that bad that the right side is wider, because a lot of times you have some text areas there that actually need more space. So I'm not really sure that's a problem. It's just that those are separated parts of the form. So I'm not sure if instead of centering the left side in the middle, maybe we could just both make them in the middle somehow. It's just that without actually doing design tests, I don't know. I'm I feel like it's going to be like a mess, whatever. Not because you don't know what to do, just because we are going to do something fast without actually taking into account other things here.
But if we agree that the gap isn't really getting bigger, just more obvious, then we're not actually changing. Maybe then what Christina says is okay. Let's make a well-considered decision in a follow-up issue.
If that follow-up issue was considered a stable blocker, I would be fine with that. Yep.
Yes, I think
Everybody wants that to be.
Yeah. Okay. Well, sounds good.
Yeah, and it's just that it's not that I don't agree with all of you. It's just that it's complicated to just come up with something that fast here in a call without actually testing more things. Because with the title on the left and the form in the middle, it just seems like disassociated. It's a word. I don't know. It doesn't make sense to have the title on the left and everything. I don't know. So maybe we should kind of prioritize or work on the layout on the next weeks, maybe.
It's an interesting topic. It's a very important screen. So maybe, I mean, I know it's a very important screen, right? This is where many hours of Drupaling happens and content creation happens. So maybe it's an interesting place to invite people in for next week as well. Not that we want to co-design all the things, but to get a wide input of well, typical screens, maybe. Anyway, thinking about DrupalCon. This is
Okay, so do we all agree that we can move this, follow on this on another issue and make that issue a stable blocker?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Cool. Also, just sorry, one more thing about that. Still on the text area, if someone wants to actually have a bigger space to work on, they still have the option to do that on full screen or something like that, right?
So it depends on the CK editor configuration, I guess. I don't know if you can actually turn it off. We can see. And because that's also specific to CK editor. It's not a, like, if you use something else than CK editor, I don't know if you're going to have that feature.
Just to be sure that text areas can be wider if the user wants.
So it seems like, for example, this configuration don't have that. So it would have to be added, I guess, here.
Yeah, because I think that could be kind of considered like a regression somehow. Not sure if that's something that has to be in this issue. Just that somehow feels like text areas should be able to have more space, even if it just on the horizontal. Okay, so that's
much better.
That's perfect. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I guess that's something we might get feedback on
another issue. Okay.
Like in a future issue after we make the change.
Cool.
Okay, so I guess that's this issue. I'm gonna update the issue with what we've discussed here. Do you want to talk about the bulk operation designs next? I don't hear any objections, at least. So we talked about this with Rain, and so I think she was, I think like she was optimistic about this, but she had some concerns about how easy it is to notice when the drawer opens on the bottom of the page, especially like on a large screen like I have. It's not very obvious that it's that it's opening on the bottom of the page. I'm gonna try to demonstrate that. Did I apply the patch? No, definitely nothing is happening. Interesting. Is there no, what doesn't it recognize? I said there's items selected. And do you happen to have this running on your environment?
No, I don't.
Okay. I'll try to clear the cache again, and if that doesn't work, then it's something is borked.
I believe it's pretty similar to Jin. So if someone has Jin running, I think the same thing she called out.
Oh,
There
now
we
it's working.
go. All right.
Yeah. So yeah, the contrast between the background and the tray or the drawer is pretty small, so it's not easy to identify that it's open. The blue button does stand out a bit, but yeah, besides that, it's not very easy to notice. So I'm wondering, like, should we use designs that are closer to settings tray, or like, do we have any ideas how we could achieve that? How could we make it more noticeable that it's being opened?
Does it look like the typography is smaller compared to the items on the top? The filters on top?
Yeah, I think the form elements are smaller, and I think the typography is smaller too.
Bug or feature?
So I think right now it's implemented according to how it was designed. I don't know if it's because of they should be using the smaller form elements for smaller variation of the form elements too, or
Okay.
if it's something else.
Yeah, just wondering if it's intentional or not. Like,
There is
So basically,
Oh, go ahead.
sorry, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Okay. Oh, there is a current issue that is in progress where the filters on top are going to have the form element size reduced. So at the very least, it would be comparable to the bulk operations that show up on the bottom. But I don't think that would address Rain's concern.
So basically, sorry, go ahead.
So something that I've been thinking that could be part of the reason why it is difficult to notice it is that it's on the bottom of the page. Like, people don't usually pay attention to the bottom of the page, bottom of the screen that much. Like how I would use my screen, my focus would be more on this area. And if something happens in here, it can be difficult to notice that. I don't know, maybe there's studies on that. But yeah.
So basically, the thing that just takes more attention from the bottom side is the blue button itself, the action itself. So having this color so close to the rest of the thing, that might be a problem. I don't think having the whole area blue or the whole area dark will be maybe the option, but yeah, that's probably one of the reasons, because it's just too well integrated, probably. So do you know how it is in Gin right now? Which is the color?
Let's see.
I think it goes on Figma also.
Let's see.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that Gin is actually using a bit darker gray than Claro.
So I'm reviewing the designs we made initially. I'm gonna just share you the link here so you can open that on Figma. So our concerns here were that we were just going too far with the colors. But maybe now that we're moving it on the bottom, maybe that's something that's not crazy.
Yeah, like this looks pretty good, for example, the black one.
So I don't think that's so crazy, especially taking into account that we're going to have also the dark one for the sidebar, the settings tree.
So should we try to implement it based on this and see what people think about that?
I'm not sure which is the new gray or dark gray right now, but like not
something
exactly
around this.
Yeah, exactly.
So check a gray that is kind of similar from the palette.
Yeah, it's so. Yeah, we'll kind of have to figure out how to make the primary buttons look in these contained areas that have darker background, like the one on the models that we had to think a little bit about that. No, it wasn't the mod. Was it the models or what was?
That was so we had a gray and we had a gray button. So we had like this gray and then we had a long, like this type of button on that gray.
Yeah. Maybe it was a tour one or. Yeah, the tour.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Yeah, it's on the components page. Yeah, here. So we had to we needed to check if we were going to have a lighter primary button here, like this one, for example. So that's a step that we'll we should make, but I mean that's a follow-up for this region. Sorry, for this issue. I mean, it's an independent issue that primary buttons should need to have, like if they are inside the dark region, the color should be another one.
Yeah, that's a global change, right?
Exactly.
Not specific to this bulk operations implementation, but that bulk operations widget, I think it makes sense to explore the very dark background option. It's probably indeed due to the fact that it's at the bottom of the screen that we might have to crank up the contrast a bit just to make sure people see what's happening.
Yeah, it's also like there's one reason why we should definitely do it is because of if you've clicked a checkbox, it is actually the very primary thing of the page, because if you wouldn't click the checkbox for any other reason than using the bulk operations.
Yes.
So I don't think there's any like any arguments for not making it very easy to recognize and stand out on the page.
Yeah, it's the thing you're coming to do. Yeah.
Yes.
Cool. So do we agree to try this dark version?
Yeah, I would say.
Okay.
Do we have bouncy animations already or not yet?
Oh yes, please. Let's do that.
Let's just add a clippy, which is gonna help people to with these things.
Yeah, that's for sure.
And yeah, we can add the clippy on the note page too. That we are sorry about this white space in the middle of the page. We haven't come to a conclusion how to remove it yet, but
oh, we can actually place the clippy in the middle.
Yes, it's the perfect space.
Okay.
So I don't have any other issues that I would like to talk about, but maybe someone else might have.
I gotta run to something else, so nice to see you all, and I will send you the link later in a like a half an hour or something like that for the global DrupalCon sprints and so on.
So I have a question. So we've been working on the media library. So this is for Christina and Roy, and if Sasha is still here. So would you have some time to take a look at the media library? Maybe tomorrow or Friday? Maybe just like 20 minutes or half an hour.
Maybe later or tomorrow. That would be perfect. It's just that I gotta run.
Okay.
Right now.
Sounds good.
See you.
Yeah.
Bye.
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 Yeah. Feel free to ping me, Laurie.
Okay. Yeah, sounds good. Thank you. Bye.
Okay. Bye all.
Bye. Thanks all.
Bye. Thanks.